Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Pull up a seat, there's something unique. You now tuned into something you ain't know that you need. Let's talk about it with Brenda. This high level conversations. Engage the community and change the vibrations. No more casualty, no matter nationalities. Let's have real talks and cut out all the fallacies. It's hard to change the circumstances being negligent. Empowering the people, you could be the president. Let's start programs and reach all the youth. If history been twisted, we should teach all the youth. No more politicking, putting pressure on the politicians. We need legislation that'll change our conditions. Meet me at the round table and let's conversate. Make a plan to action, cause ain't no time to wait. Let's change the fate, cause it ain't no more go along. You can always tune in here to know what's going on. You got something on your heart, let's talk about it. You need to find a place to start, let's talk about it. Community and unity, let's talk about it. You got something on your mind, let's talk about it.
Hello everyone. Listen, last week I was supposed to go live on YouTube on Let's Talk About It with Brenda Calls, and without realizing I was not live. So I was going live on, we went live on, thought I was live on Father's Day, and because Virginia Democrats, we had a primary. So I really wanted to talk about that and talk about the candidates that I was supporting, candidates that I also know that I was not supporting, and why. Because I think that's very important. First of all, we're going to have to start holding candidates accountable, and we're going to have to just start being real. Now, I wanted to put this out before we drop that last week's video. And remember, it is a last week video from Father's Day, so I do apologize to you for that, because I did thought I was live until after it was finished. And so my son had to come in today and sort of help me out. Now, I want to say this. The primaries is over. The ticket that we have on the Democratic side, do I believe that it's a winning ticket? No, I do not. I am disappointed with a couple things. Number one, Lamont Bagby is now the chairman for the Democratic Party of Virginia. What should have happened is that Lamont Bagby and the Democratic Party of Virginia should have been advertising and talking about all the candidates and their strengths as we went along in this primary. So everybody really got an idea before they went out and voted. Now, I want to keep everybody to keep one thing in mind. Okay, the ticket that we have, and I talked about this, and you're going to hear it in my video. The Democrats that have been that is on this ticket are very lazy. They are very lazy, and they think that we are supposed to vote for them instead of working for our votes. The other thing, they think they're celebrities. Well, you are not a celebrity to me. And like I said, and I don't care if you are a celebrity, you still need to work for the vote. So I'm hoping that that is going to happen in this before November, because if we don't, then I'm sorry, I don't know what's going to happen. Let's remember one thing: LeVar Stoney was kicked out by the Virginia Democrats of Virginia, and they put Abigail Spanberger in. Abigail Spanberger is not a good candidate. She's not even a fair candidate, in my opinion, for governor of Virginia. But we got what we got. The problem with Virginia Democrats is about unity. We do not know how to unify. When this primary is over, the first thing, remember, LeVar only lost by 4,000 votes, approximately 4,000. Shannon Taylor only lost by approximately 9,000 votes. But instead of you highlighting them and bringing them on to ensure that we are unified in this, what did you do? You brought the old heads in. Mark Warner threw Joe Biden under the bus. The first Democrat that came out, Abigail Spanberger, never even said a word. All she did was duck and hide. I said to Mark Warner, and I said this in my video, listen to what I said last week. Mark Warner, I left a message on his voicemail. You're going to be the reason we lose this election. We're going to have to start being smarter Democrats, because just what? Every time a story come out on Facebook about this campaign, and they are really just dogging out LeVar Stoney. Guess what? First of all, you're going to need to go after LeVar Stoney votes. Remember one thing, these are MAGA people that's out there talking, and they loving it. And then you have those Democrats that did not like LeVar Stoney. You're also adding into it, so you're not helping. But Lamont Bagby, chairman of the Virginia Democrat Party, you're not helping either, because those are the votes that needs to go after. And as far as Abigail Spanberger, you're gonna have to get everybody on board. They're going to have to get into places and spaces where they're going to have to be uncomfortable and answer some real questions. Not those softball questions and those broad answers that has nothing to do with people's everyday lives. You know why? Because they have no clue about people's everyday lives. So I'm certainly hoping that you stay tuned, enjoy. It's getting ready to get started. And I do apologize for the fact that I did not go live last week. But then again, I'm kind of glad you're going to see what I had to say in my video. I have been doing this for over 40 plus years. I have been on the ground. My ear is always on the ground. Civil rights, social justice, community advocate, and campaigning. So yes, I do know these people very well, from the local to the state to the national. Been in the room with them many, many times. Stop dragging out all these old heads. Mark Warner, get out the room. You're running next year. That's the reason you're there. Tim Kaine, the same thing. You voted people in that have not helped us in this country. And then you're going to make a comment that had you known about Kristen Noem, you would never voted for. Well, that's the problem. You should have known. This is the problem that we have with the old heads. Bobby Scott, I like you very much, but you too don't have any backbone. Jennifer McCollum is one of the greatest congresswomen that we've ever had. Louise Lucas, she got guts and backbone, and she's a fighter. If you all don't start getting a backbone like Jasmine Crockett, which is the standard bearer right now for the Democratic Party, we're going to continue to lose, because guess what? Abigail Spanberger is not it. So once again, thank you for joining me on Let's Talk About It with Brenda Coles. 231 is dropped. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Listen, I want to welcome everybody to Let's Talk About It with Brenda Coles. I am so happy to be here today on this beautiful Father's Day. So I want to say happy Father's Day first to all the wonderful dads out there. And I definitely want to say happy Father's Day to the Black fathers, because we need you, and we appreciate you. And, I know it's not celebrated like Mother's Day, but believe me, Father's Day is just as important, because a child needs a good father in their lives. And I want to be very clear about that. I say in their lives. We got some dynamic mothers, but that are single, and we got dynamic fathers that are sharing the care of that child, even if they're on outside. So I want to thank those fathers as well. Fathers that's in the home, absolutely thank you for being there and hanging in there and definitely taking care of your children, because I'm gonna tell you, it makes a world of a difference. I just want to say to everyone, thank you for joining. Let's Talk About with Brenda Coles today. I want to offer you an apology. I hadn't been on in a couple of weeks. I do have people that say, "Hey, I haven't done a podcast." Something I definitely want to share that I had planned to share much later, but I'm going to share just a little bit of it, because this is something I'm going to get into much later, because it is an extremely serious matter. Back in October of last year, I found a flight of my stairs, a traumatic fall that I had, and along with some broken bones. I also suffered with a traumatic brain injury, which is also called a TBI. Now, those of you that are familiar with that have had a traumatic brain injury, or even have a family that have traumatic brain injury, you know the seriousness of it. I was not diagnosed when I was ambulanced to the hospital, not with the traumatic brain injury or the broken bones. I was not diagnosed at all. So it was later that it was certainly found. And so I deal with it. If anyone understand that when you talk about a traumatic brain injury, you are talking about your brain that also operates every part of your body, your emotions, your thoughts, everything. So it is not easy to deal with. I would not wish this on anyone. So there are days I'm going to have great days, and there's days I don't have good days. So I apologize to you. But one thing that I definitely wanted to do is bring you information from this podcast, Let's Talk About It with Brenda Coles, that you can use. I have been working out here in community for over 40 years. I've been working in politics for over 40 years, working, volunteering, campaigning on the ground, working on campaigns. So those are things that I'm going to do as much as I can, as often as I can, regardless, because I believe that we all have to do something. I took that from our brother, the Black Eagle, that is now gone, Joe Madison. What are you going to do about it? So I want to start off by just thanking you for hanging in there with me, but also understand that it is not at all easy to have to deal with when you have a number of injuries that I have to deal with. But hey, you know what? I'm a strong Black woman. I'm going to be okay, and it's going to be okay. We're going to talk about that a lot more down the road because it is very serious, and that is something that we must talk about. I want to first of all I like to say thank you. I want to start off because Virginia is in a very hot contested race. We have a primary coming up. And hopefully everyone has voted. Okay, I am a Democrat, and I am a proud Democrat all my life. So I want to encourage. First of all, I want to say this: the numbers are in. There was 90 million Democrats that registered Democrats that did not vote in the November elections. I don't care what kind of excuse you had or why you felt that you had the need to sit on the sofa. Well, I see it like this. You have to look at what you have right now. And what you have right now is a mess. We're in a complete mess. And I've talked on the last podcast about that bill that so many people have been affected when it comes to your Social Security, when it comes to federal workers, when it comes to Medicaid, when it comes to your SNAP. So we've talked about that. But this is why you get up and vote. Now we got a price tag for a vanity parade that they just had up in Washington, D.C. for $45 million. Or probably even more, and they're tearing up the streets in Washington, D.C. because Donald Trump had to have a vanity show. And so, but we got to be very serious. Now, if you're not going to be upset about the fact that your tax dollars is going to that versus your tax dollars is supporting your child's school or the roads or your SNAP benefits that he's taken away, or the Medicaid or the health care that he's taken away, or the federal workers, and all the monies that's been lost. I can't tell you how many people tell me how much money that their retirements are gone. And of course, I know personally, because of the work that I do, of people that had to pay back thousands and thousands of dollars. But next year, please get ready. You're going to be paying back a whole lot more to the federal government and to the state of Virginia because of what we have right now. But anyway, I'm going to move on. I want to explain to everybody, first of all, we have an upcoming election here in Virginia. It is, right now we're in a primary. And the primary is, we have, where I'm very disgusted. We got 6 lieutenant governors that's running. Now, I voted for LeVar Stoney. LeVar Stoney, he was a former mayor for the city of Richmond. And we have other candidates in there that I'm very familiar with. But I do believe that LeVar is most qualified. As someone that's worked, I know Aaron Ross as another Black man that is running in this election. Where I have my issue is we got people now. Let me go back. Let me go back a bit because I'm gonna talk about this a little bit. You know, first of all, I listened to, and I want to encourage. I'm gonna get back to the governor race because I want to tell you why I'm talking about this. Daily, I listen to the Urban View. I'm going to give a plug always to the Urban View. And that's on Sirius XM, channel 126. I listen daily to the morning shows, which you're going to have Dr. Greg Carr or Omi Bell, and some others. And that's going to be from 7 to 10. And then from 10 to 12, you're going to have attorney Loree Daniel Favors. And I've never seen anybody to be able to put some words out in the way that she does. And then from 12 to 3, you're going to have Clay Kane. And on Tuesdays, Reese Colbert, which I absolutely adore Reese because she tells it like it is, whether you like it or not. And then from 3 to 6, you're going to have the one that put everybody in those seats. And that is the fabulous Karen Hunter. And I love Karen Hunter because, first of all, I know her and I know her heart. But all of these people that's in their seats that I've been listening to from day one, first of all, they are real. They're truth tellers. They don't care who you are. And see, that's the problem right now. And I'm always going to give a plug in for people that is about community. And that's our truth tellers. So, you know, I'm going to tell you something. Karen Hunter is the one that you hear the slogan, the Urban View, talk empowers and becomes action. That's Karen Hunter. Because the Urban View, it was the lineup was not set up as great as it is right now. So I want to encourage everybody. I'm going to always give that plug in. So I want to encourage everybody to listen in because I listen daily to all of them. And you know what? I'll tell you something. Even on all of them, but mostly when I'm listening to Clay Kane and Reese Colbert, you have a lot of people that call in and they want the calls. They want the calls from all the politicians. I have literally reached out to our politicians here in Virginia and say, please call into the Urban View because they want you to call in. But see, this is the thing. You're not going to get those softball questions. See, that's the problem. Because one of the questions is always, what's going on with the Democrats? What's going on with the Democrats? That's always the question. And let me say something. First of all, Virginia Democrats, a lot of them are lazy. They're complacent. They're spoiled. They want your vote, but they're not going to do anything for your vote because they think they're supposed to have. I have been dealing with these people campaigns for years, so I've gotten to know them very well. I don't care if they work on a local level, a state level, or a national level. I don't care. Even when they start on a local level. But a lot of them they have become very, very complacent. They're playing by an old playbook. I say that all the time. Stop playing by the old playbook because people are tired of it. And we're not going by that old playbook. You're not getting those votes. You're not mobilizing. You had Cornel West got 9% of the vote in the state of Virginia. Why? Well, we had Susan Schweitzer, which is now gone. I don't know, retired or whatever the case may be. And in my opinion, of meeting her or being around her, I don't think she liked Black people. Because she talked to Black people like a dog. I'm just being real. Clay King was saying, and he's right, you got to call people out. I'm not running for office. You want my vote. I'm on the ground. I'm talking to people. People are emailing me, texting me, calling me, asking me, who do I vote for? Why? Because they are not plugged in like I'm plugged in. But they want to vote. But they want to get the right person in office. And I say all of that because when Clay talks about a lot about call these people out, as an activist, as a civil rights activist, social justice activist, I'm not one to bite my tongue. Like I say, I'm not running for office, but I do understand it. And I understand why a lot of people stay in an office and then want to move up higher. I understand that as well. And that's what a lot of people don't get about these people when they get into a position and they stay in a position and they don't want to move. Well, that needs to change if you don't want to do your job in public service. Because a lot of it is not about public service. A lot of it is about the fact that you love the perks. And don't think I don't understand it. I was a PTA president for 4 years. And it can start as low as a PTA president because I was then asked to go to the school board. And that was something that I didn't want, so I turned it down. Even though I probably could have won it in Newport News when I was living in Newport News. So I understand the perks. And you don't want to get out of it. Because once you start getting it and you get it out, but that's what it's about. But let me get back to this primer. I really could go on and on because it's just so much of it. A lot of people just don't get. But on Tuesday, January 17th, we need to vote for Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, House of Delegates, and your local office and local offices. You got a lot of people running in this campaign. This is just a primary, and the primary is extremely important. And a lot of people don't think the primary is important because they want to wait till November. But I am imploring you to please get out. Now, like I said earlier, I voted for LeVar Stoney. Now, I voted for LeVar because when LeVar was Secretary of the State of Virginia, first Black secretary ever, I will never forget. And see, these are personal things that you need to know about people. If you could tell a personal story about a person, and you got to see this person's heart, you know, every decision they make, you're not gonna like. Trust and believe. You're not gonna like every decision somebody made. You're not gonna like everything somebody's make when they get in office. I don't care who it is. And please, when people start promising you this and that, you can forget that crap. Because that's a lie. That's what you need to be paying attention to. Look at some of these commercials. If people's record does not really reflect what they say, then they're liars. They didn't do anything. And they certainly didn't do it by themselves. It doesn't work like that. But I voted for LeVar Stoney because a lot of people always ask me this. When my son Elijah was probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years old, LeVar walked up to Elijah. We was somewhere, and you would always see him in all types of events, which is extremely important. He wasn't hiding. He didn't have an entourage. He didn't come at the last minute. He was there all the time. You saw LeVar always around the city of Richmond. And anybody in the city of Richmond that say that he wasn't, that's not true. Because when I would go to all kinds of events, I don't care what it was, I always saw LeVar. But I remember this day, LeVar walked up to my son, and he came over and he shook Elijah's hand and said, "I heard about you. I'm proud of you." And he asked Elijah, told Elijah he would like to set him up for a tour in the governor's mansion. And at that time, Terry McCullough was the governor, and because he was the Secretary of State for Terry McCullough. And if anybody don't know, Virginia only got one term for governor. That's 1 4-year term. That's it. You can rerun, but not the next term. And Elijah did do a tour of the mansion and also met Governor McCullough. And LeVar Stoney always was one of these kind of people that plugged into you and always wanted to make sure that community was doing what it's supposed to do. Now, you had a lot of people that did not like the fact that LeVar was pushing to get Casino One into Richmond, which it would have been so beneficial to the people that lives in Richmond. Sometimes you got to understand that advancement is good, it's not bad. You know, you heard that for Richmonders that voted it down twice, and now now you got a casino going into Petersburg. Casinos are all over the state of Virginia. But then you hear, and the craziest thing for me, for the whole thing, I could understand, you got roses right on Midlothian, on South Side already. Already you have a casino over there, Roses. People, and then the concern was supposedly that you're going to have people that get addicted to gambling. And then you have prostitution. Well, across the street from Roses, you got a strip club already. So I don't get that. That really baffled me. Not only that, but the money that was coming into the city for the schools was absolutely just something mind-blowing to me. And the jobs that it would have offered so many people that needed work. And Richmond's voted it down. Now, I don't live in Richmond. I live in Henrico County. Now, like I say, you have your reasons. I'm not taking that away from you. But you better understand, I don't care who's in that seat. You're not going to agree with everything they say or everything they do. They're going to do some magnificent things that you're going to love, and they're going to do some things that you absolutely disagree with. That's in any elected position. I don't care who you are. And in the most part, you don't understand the balance that people have to have when they're in a position like that either. So I'm just giving you my reasons of why I feel that LeVar Stoney would be the best person. A lot of these other people, we have Senator, and I do not want to chop anybody's name. I am not good with names, and unfortunately, I definitely don't want to chop somebody's name when I can't pronounce it. But I know she is the only woman that's running in the race. Although I know she's a nice, very nice person here in Henrico County. I just don't believe that. And I have not seen where she had been very effective throughout the entire county of even Henrico. I have not seen that. And she is not visible. And people, we got to understand, if we got people that is running that's not visible, don't elect them. Because if they get in office like that, you're going to see even less of them. That's why I talked about the fact that LeVar, you could see him all over the place at all kinds of events. Very important when it comes to electing someone. The other person that the position that I said many times, that's one of the most important positions in the state, is your Attorney General. Right now, we got a MAGA racist Republican sitting in that seat. Yarez, something like that. And he's running again. I'm going to tell you all. First of all, the Attorney General, like I said, in my opinion, is the highest position in the state. Why? Because they are over the entire criminal justice system for the state of Virginia. Yarez, when he walked out in that seat, he fired all the civil rights attorneys in that office. So people that have any issues when they're dealing with civil rights, there's nobody there. This man, when those kids, and I'm going to repeat this, over in Powhatan, go to YouTube. When those kids over in Powhatan, look it up, Google it, and Powhatan, that was being discriminated against. Those kids stood up there to that school board, and they cried, and they pleaded for the discrimination to stop. Teachers wasn't doing anything. Principal not doing anything in the high schools. They were being called nigger on a regular basis. Let's be very clear. Excuse me. You know, you can get banned for some words. Or the N word on a regular basis. They were being called names. They sit there and name the names of what they were being called on a regular basis. I offered for families, let's file a case with the Office of Civil Rights. Because during that time with Joe Biden, we did have an Office of Civil Rights in the Department of Justice. Well, guess what? We got Donald Trump up there. You forget it. If you want to go to the Department of Justice, you got that nasty, the people up there, Pam Bondi, all of them, you can forget it. So this is why it's very, 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 very important of who you can put in office, especially in that seat of Attorney General. Very important. The Attorney General also have a lot to do with who everybody that's within your town and your county that sits in those seats as far as the Commonwealth Attorney or District Attorney. A lot of people know them as District Attorneys, so but they're Commonwealth Attorney's offices. Very, very important. I voted for Shannon Taylor. The reason I voted for Shannon Taylor, other personal stories. One thing I know about Shannon Taylor, she's visible. She's reachable. When my son was assaulted, and I say assaulted by Henrico County Police, Shannon Taylor, and then he was assaulted again by a child at a school. Shannon Taylor called me into her office. It was during the holiday, and asked me would I come into her office. She reached out to me. I did not know her. And she apologized for the fact of what my son went through. And Shannon Taylor is very visible. She is out there. She is in the Black communities. Have she made all decisions that I like? Hell no. And nobody is. But what I'm saying is, when you got somebody in that position that you know that is reachable, these people think they are stars, and I'm going to use it like that. So now, Jay Jones is running against Shannon. I don't know. I've met Jay before. I don't know him that well. What I do know, and I will say this, his father recently passed, Judge Gerald Jones, which is a hero in the civil rights world here in this state, in the Norfolk, Virginia area. And I am saddened at the passing of his father. He really had a great dynamic father. But I will say this, just because the father is someone to look up to in the civil rights world, it does not necessarily mean that the child follows in that footstep. I watch these people because when people call me for help as an advocate, and I have to know what it is that they need or who we can reach out to, everybody is just not reachable. You got people that unfortunately, I want to mention someone else. We got, which I think is very unfortunate, and it needs to be called out. I'm gonna go back to LeVar Stoney. Now we got Abigail Spanberg that's running for governor for the Democrats. Abigail Spanberger is a blue dog Democrat. In other words, she got 1 foot over to a Republican. That's all it would take for her. 1 foot. She's 1 foot already over there. Don't take but the other foot to cross over. I am not happy about that. Why I am not happy about that? Because LeVar announced to run for governor last summer. Within a month's time, LeVar then announced that he was running for lieutenant governor, which put him in this huge field instead of having to run against Abigail Spanberger in this primary. What we're going to have to stop doing, or the Virginia Democrats, don't pick for us. Abigail Spanberger was not who we wanted. She does not come into the Black communities. Let's be very clear about that. She wants our vote, and that's about it. She's not reachable. She's not approachable. And she has no idea. She is one of those that thinks she's a celebrity. We don't need celebrities. We need public service. We are paying you to do the best for our communities, all of the communities throughout this entire state. Abigail Spanberger is not that person. Now, I'm just talking about Democrats because I'm damn sure not talking about Winston Sears because oh Jesus, that's a whole nother story. But as a Black woman, don't vote for her because she's Black. Please don't. She's a MAGA Republican to her heart. She don't even like Black folk. She don't even like herself. And, I could go on and on. So, but what I want to get back to is Aaron Ross, because LeVar was kicked out. Let me rephrase. I just had a thought. So those are the things that happen. Trust me, you can lose your thought in a heartbeat. But LeVar was basically kicked out, just like Joe Biden, by the Democrats. Same thing happened to Joe Biden. President Biden, great president. Same thing happened to LeVar Stoney. The Virginia Democrats kicked him out because they made a pick. And Schweitzer, or Susan Schweitzer, the former chair of the Democratic Party of Virginia, which she's now gone. That was I cannot say it was all her. But I can tell you right now, LeVar was kicked out. He was not supported. And we're going to have to stop that. Now, Lamont Bagby is now the chairman for the Democratic Party. Lamont Bagby is now senator. Lamont and I go way back when he was sitting on the Rego County School Board. The only Black person that was sitting on that school board, specifically with my son, was assaulted and was harassed by Rego County police. So yes, I got history with Lamont. And unfortunately, I don't think Lamont should be even sitting in that seat. Nice person. Not saying he's not a nice person. I'm just saying when it comes to the Democrats, y'all gonna have to do a better job. Because you're doing a really poor job. You're doing a poor job for us in this state of Virginia. Because first of all, you don't even know what's going on. You don't talk to grassroots people because you think you're too good to do that. So the ones that I'm going to vote for and I'm talking about are those that I see in community, that I see doing some work, that I know that you can at least reach out to if there's an issue that is involving community, and that will answer back. Because unfortunately, you got so many of them that will not do that. Now, make sure you know, always know who you are, especially on your local level, starting with you. I don't care if it's a PTA, school board, your house, your delegates, your senators, that in your districts. I know when President Biden was first thrown up under the bus and Mark Warner came out, Senator Mark Warner, I left a message on his voicemail, and this is what I said: "You just cost us the election." He can go back on his voicemail and listen. I called up to his Senate office and told him he should have been ashamed of himself. And you just cost us the election. Now, let me say something about Abigail Spanberg. She kept very quiet. She didn't even support. You didn't even hear her come out and support Kamala Harris. That's what I don't like about her. And I actually let Lamont know on a call. They need to stop hiding Abigail Spanberger, and they need to put her in front of people that can ask her real questions so she can actually answer them. If she wants the Black Democratic vote in November, are we going to lose this election? Again, see, this is the problem. I don't know who said it. It was either Marie Daniel Favors or Clay Kane. And they told, when we were talking about elections, they said when we win, we lose. And that's so true. When we win, we lose. Because you all are, the Democrats are so daggone complacent and so lazy. Just lazy. Got no backbone. Jasmine Crockett is right now is what y'all need to be looking at. Cory Booker finally came out and stood up and did something. I mean, everybody give him his props, okay. But Cory Booker ain't always been like that. I've been around all of them. All right, he's speaking now. But dadgummit, you should have been speaking way before now, as far as I'm concerned. I'm really tired of the fact that we are going through this situation with this fool that we got in office. Because you got 90 million registered Democrats that made up excuses for whatever reason. And now you're crying because of what you're losing. And let's be very clear. You got more white people that voted against their own interest because it's their Medicaid too. Is there SNAP benefits too? Is there families that work for the federal government as well? So, but it amazed me. This really amazes me. Now I'm gonna give you some dates real quickly. You know, like I say, before Tuesday, please go out to and vote. You know, like I said, I am a lifelong Democrat, and I'm going to always be a lifelong Democrat. I've seen the ugliness in the Republican Party for a long time. Democrats got a lot of ugliness in it too. They got they got racist people in it too. Susan Spicer, in my opinion, is one of them, which was the chairman for the Democratic Party. And I'm just being real. I will call you out. I don't have a problem with it because guess what? I'm not running for office. You're not asking me for my vote. But I tell you one thing, Abigail Spanberger, when you came on Facebook and said it's official, it's official that you run for governor. It was already official. Please don't do that anymore because that was annoying to me. Like I say, you know, the primary election and the election date is going to be on June 17th. And so June 14th is your last day of early in-person voting. Okay. So that was yesterday. Last day of early in-person voting was yesterday. So the primary election is on Tuesday. So we will know on Tuesday who will be on the Democratic side for, we already know who's governor. We can forget that. But I'll tell you what, Abigail Spanberger need to get into some uncomfortable spaces. And y'all in the Democratic Party, I was talking to an NAACP president. I'm not gonna say where she was located here in Virginia, because she's a nice person. But NAACP got a whole lot to do with the fact that y'all keep covering for these people. And we was at a luncheon down at Virginia State, or award ceremony. And I mentioned to her about the fact that Abigail Spanberger is not seen, nobody's seen her. Where is she? Why don't she show her face? And she was telling me that she have had a talk with her and that she's going to get better. What does that mean? She's going to get better. Because I told her about the fact that this woman does not come in the Black community. So see, even the NAACP across the state knows that. I've heard this from the South End to the West End to the East End. Because you can remember, I'm from the Roanoke, Virginia area. From that area. Live in the Hampton Roads area. And now I'm here in Richmond. But very familiar with the south side of the Danville area, all the way up to Fairfax County. So I'm very familiar with the state and know a lot of people throughout the state and on the ground. And yes, they get a lot of misinformation and disinformation about everything. This is why a lot of people did not vote, because they were listening to the lies. That need to change. I know the other day on, and I want to mention this because I think it's very important, because I'm talking to the Democrats. I don't care if you Republican, you're looking at me fine. Good. Good for you. Can you say what you want to say? Because it don't faze me a bit. But I was listening to some people. I was talking to a group of people out of the Spotsylvania, Fredericksburg area, and this is what I mean by your disinformation and misinformation. We was talking, and they was talking about voting in this primary, who to vote for. When it came to LeVar Stoney, this is what they heard. This is what they understood. They wasn't going to vote for LeVar because they heard that he was the one that voted down the casino. And then I had to explain to them, no, it was not LeVar that did that. And I went into who the council, one of the Republican council women that was involved in that, along with her counterpart over in the South Side, that those that was pushing it to be voted down. So that's where a lot of times when people hear one thing and they're like, oh my God, I'm glad you told me, because I didn't know that. I didn't know he did all of that. So I gave them some information on his record. People don't take the time to do that. They don't look at the record, or they don't know these people. And so this is why you got a lot of people that's not voting. Why? Because of the lack of engagement from the Democratic Party. And like I say, it's always asked on the Urban View. This is why I believe. This is why I'm going to, for those that on the 17th, for whoever get elected in as a lieutenant governor, Abigail Spanberger as a governor, your local on your local level, state level, and your local level. What the Urban View and what those hosts are asking is for you to call into their show, because they want to hear from you. Because I'm gonna tell you, Virginia calls in a lot. All day. Virginia calls in a lot. So you got a lot of people in Virginia that's listening. That, and the other thing that was talked about was, why are a lot of these ads that you all do are not put into Black spaces? Which is very true. You want the Black vote so bad, but you don't go into the Black spaces. And your ads are not into the Black spaces. Or they talked about the sports spaces. Why are those ads not into the sports spaces? I'm helping you out, is what I'm doing here today. So I see we at the 2:49 mark. The other thing that I want to definitely just remind everybody, I wanted to talk about this election and some of the candidates. Why I'm voting for who I'm voting for. What the Democrats are going to need to do a little bit better, a lot better moving forward. If we want to continue to win, we're going to have to do something better. But, for those that, again, that have not, see the primary, like I said, I think that last day for early in-person voting. Early in-person voting was for yesterday. Okay, so then you go to your polling polls on Tuesday. So Tuesday, you got Tuesday to get in and get your voting in on who is it that you want. But you're going to have to you have to understand this is very serious. It's a very serious matter who we get in into these seats. Because once again, these are people that have to fight. Now, let me say this real quickly. I have met Aaron Ross. He's in Virginia Beach. I can't say that I know the brother very well or anything like that, but I haven't been in a lot of spaces with him. Once again, I go to a lot of places all over the state. But it's very rare that you're going to see a lot of people showing up in spaces that they actually should show up in. You know, I've seen Aaron's commercials. I'm not impressed. And what I'm even least impressed about is that Virginia Beach, he said on Virginia Beach City Council, that's all fine and dandy. You know, he's a senator. That's all fine and dandy. That doesn't mean anything. Because, see, these people keep moving up by their names. It's not the work that they're doing. Because when you're on the ground, Virginia Beach is I try to tell people, Black people, don't go to Virginia Beach if you don't have to. And I'm going to tell you why. Virginia Beach got one of the most corrupt as a civil rights activist. I can honestly say it because I'm a civil rights activist. And what I experienced and what people have experienced, Black folk have experienced when they're dealing with Virginia Beach police and that Commonwealth office. They are corrupt. If you are running for an office or if you are in a seat and then you're running for the lieutenant governor, please know that you got a corrupt police department and Commonwealth office. We had a young lady, this child is still waiting, and she's not a child, she's a young woman. And I'm just going to give briefly of her case. But her case has been kicked down the road now for all going on 2 years. And you can't make this up. She came down from New York, didn't know it, came down to go to a club, very popular club in Virginia Beach with some people one person that she knew in another space that lived in Virginia Beach. The other people she didn't know, didn't have a car, nothing, came down to go to a club to celebrate a birthday. The people that lived in Virginia Beach, there was some kind of, and I'm only sharing this because it's already came out of court. The other two people didn't pay the bar tab. She came and went to pay the bar tab. They was already ready to go out into the parking lot. And because of the way she looked, because she's tied it up, she was shot by the bar owner in the stomach and it exited out of her buttocks. Till this day, she still got fragments in her body. Now, media didn't know anything about this. Nobody knew anything about this. The only way I found out and wondered why wasn't this told or anyone knew about it is because a media outlet out of the Hampton Roads area called me for an interview. And I asked her, and they had no clue about it. They had to then go and get the record because it was never released that it even happened. So myself and my fierce advocate, Bernadette Lark, we exposed the situation because that department, that Commonwealth office and police was sweeping it under the rug. And this child is now still waiting to get justice. Now, we was able to get a direct indictment, thank God, because we wasn't going to back down. So yes, there was a direct indictment on him. Oh, but guess what? If that was somebody black, they would be still locked up. They wouldn't even got bond. He was able to get a bond and go on vacation for 2 weeks. Where we get other calls of families in Virginia Beach that can't get a bond for something simple. Because the Commonwealth is fighting it. Commonwealth office is fighting it vigorously because they black. So Aaron Ross, I think you need to check that. That does fall under the AG, and hopefully whoever becomes the AG, because right now that what we got ain't gonna do a jack about it. He loves that kind of stuff because he's black and can treat them like dirt slaves or whatever. But please, I'm certainly hoping Aaron Ross, if you're gonna do anything, please start knowing what's going on in your back door. Because that's right in your yard. And as an advocate, we always got to clean up this mess. Or at least expose it. Expose the truth. So, like I say, I just want to remind you, the other dates I want to remind you real quick because we only got 3 minutes and I'm getting off of here, even though I enjoyed talking to you because I had not been on. Once again, you know, sometimes you have good days with a TBI and some days you don't. That is your brain, and your brain controls your entire body. And so that's something that I will talk about much later because it's extremely important. But I certainly want to thank everybody that joined me today, and those that, and I want to ask you, please always share the video because that is so important. Share this podcast. Join me on which Let's Talk About It with Brenda Coles. Keep me in prayer. That's the other thing. Keep me in prayer. Because what I want to do, again, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be straight up. And I'm going to call you out. But the Virginia Democrats are going to have to do a better job because you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything for community. You're actually you only enriching yourself, and you love that celebrity type status. You're not celebrities. Okay. Now let's not forget we still have an election coming up in November after this primary. Okay. Please let's not forget that. So if you got to register for to vote update registration, that's going to be on October the 14th. Early in-person voting is going to start September the 19th through 11th through November the 1st. Please, anybody want to do in-person voting for November? We got to get all Democrats in, regardless if I have to bite my damn teeth. We still got to get Democrats into office, okay? But we're going to hold them accountable. That's the bottom line. But please, in-person voting on 9/19 through 11/1. So, and remember, we got the election in November. Okay, so we definitely want to do that. Get yourself out there. Get a plan. Get your family members, because it's so important. We cannot just sit around. Do something. Okay, if I can get up here and still do what I do out on the outside in the community, with what I have dealt with, from last year of falling and injuring myself, and being injured and then of course being not diagnosed properly, but still being able to say I need to do a podcast so I can enlighten you and give you some information that you definitely need to use, and that we all can use. Please make sure that you get out and vote. So I want to say thank you for tuning in. I want to remind everybody, please, SiriusXM does free subscriptions. Please go to SiriusXM. Please go to SiriusXM and join. It doesn't cost that much a month. Maybe $7.99, something like that, $6.99, something like that. And please, Urban View is on channel 126. Okay, start with the morning show. You got Dr. Greg Carr, Omi Bell. Dr. Carr is just awesome. So please, then you got the Read Daniel Favors. I'm starting at 10 o'clock. I'm starting from at 10 to 12. Then you got Clay Kane at from 12 to 3. And then from 3 to 6, you got the fabulous Karen Hunter. So definitely do that. I'm going to always give them a shout. Like I say, truth tellers and about community, because that's what I'm about, is community and truth telling. So I want to thank you again. I want to for joining me on Let's Talk About It with Brenda Coles. I do plan on or having a show on next Sunday. It may not be a live show, but I will certainly be able to have you a show for next Sunday, because there's something very special that I definitely want to be able to share with you on next Sunday. So thank you again, and I want you all to have a great day. All right, peace.